Ball State victorious over Central Connecticut State. The final score 42-6 rather, in favor of the Cardinals. And what a day it was for Ball State. We welcome you back inside the SL Game Day studio alongside Jack Kizer. Coach Kevin Lynch now joins us. And Coach, let's just get right into it. What was your biggest takeaway from today's game?
I was really excited to see so many guys get to play. You know, obviously getting the win was huge and all that good stuff, but you saw a lot of good things from a lot of different guys. So when guys work that hard and it's that first game, and you know we've been going since January, for a lot of those guys to reap benefits of playing and getting some good action, that's awesome.
What specifically did you like from your backs?
I thought they ran the ball hard. You know, I thought they stayed patient too, because the first half they did a really good job, I thought, of tackling us. You know, I think at halftime or something, our longest run was about 12 yards. Now we hit some things in the screen game or whatever we're watching there on the screen, but in the second half we were able to break some big runs, and that's kind of what we told them at halftime. We knew they were getting tired. We ran over 50 plays in the first half, so we felt like if we played with some tempo and we keep wearing them out, good things would happen, and they did. And I thought they did a good job of getting patient and not pressing too much too early. Something
we noticed out there is you had multiple backs out there at the same time. What strategy is behind that?
You know, in a game like today when we ran so many plays, it's actually probably easier than you think, because you just kind of look at their wind. And early in the season too, first game, guys were getting tired and I wanted to sub them. Obviously I was going to start with James and then go with Caleb, and just kind of went back and forth. And then we have some packages that we will put Malik Dunner in certain situations. So you know he's going to kind of get his touches / his plays. And then with Marquise, he's kind of the backup for all of them. So he's going to get his touches as well. But really, as we started to run the ball, I just kind of try to take a peek at more than anything is if they're fresh, because you feel so good about all four of them that let's play the one that's the freshest.
How does having so many options at the running back position help you guys as a whole?
Well, I mean, obviously, the good thing about them, I think a lot of them are different. So I think it's important that, we kind of just keep it going that way. And it's nice, obviously. It's a good luxury to have.
You had those options, but what went into the decision to start James tonight?
Oh, I think in the way we run our program, and this stays true, I mean, you're not going to lose your job due to injury. But James has been a great player, and I don't know if we definitely would say, hey, he is the starter without a doubt. But I feel like it's 1A, B, 1C. I mean, those guys are going to go. And I said to him this morning in our meetings, I really believe this throughout the season of 12 games. I think each guy's going to have a big game. You don't know when it's going to happen, or a big run. Obviously, I think Malik was the first one to score, and then Caleb really was the first one to hit a big run, and then obviously James had the long one to score. But they all did some good things, and we got to continue to get better, obviously.
What do you guys do now as a unit to prepare for next week?
I think you just got to go back tomorrow morning and watch the tape with them, and obviously what we did, and we put up a lot of yards and all that good stuff, but there's going to be things to correct without a doubt, as there is every game, but especially in an opener like this. So with that being said, then they're going to get a day off and kind of regroup, and then the nice thing is they'll have some time to get their body back, and we'll get a chance to start looking at Notre Dame and kind of figure out a plan going from there.
All right, Coach Lynch, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to go live now to the press conference with head coach Mike New.
Got bad hair. Me?
Yep.
Well, obviously it's good to get a win. We've been waiting for this night, as a team. Our players have been chomping at the bit since really the end of last season, and we've been through a lot of hard work since January. Got here with the winter workouts, with spring football, with summer workouts, with training camp. But I think as much as anything else, we've grown so much as a team in terms of team building, and that was a big point of emphasis for us in training camp, to make sure that when we do step foot on that field, that we always have each other's back no matter what, because we've been through some trying times. And I'm just happy for our players in our locker room to just stay together the way they did, and just to get tonight here. And we made it count, big on just making every day count, making practice count, making meetings count. And this is the only opportunity we got tonight to play a game, and we made it count.
All right, well, Coach, all week long you've been saying you want to run the football. Tonight, all your featured backs contributed in a pretty big way. And Riley Neal also had a big game as well. Can you just give a comment on how well your offense played tonight?
Well, it starts with the guys up front. The credit has to go to the offensive linemen, because those guys give our running backs holes to do what they do. And, we all know sitting in this room that the running back position for us is one of the most talented groups on our team, and they're unselfish. And it was good to see those guys all get their hands on the ball tonight, to have plenty of opportunities to get some carries in. And it was good to see number 34 back out there, man. Well, he is a warrior. I'm so glad he's on our team. Obviously, Caleb Huntley, Malik Dunner, Marquise Hurt, those guys, in my opinion, are as good as it gets as a group. And it all starts with that. For us to be able to do what we want to do, it starts with those guys, and it starts with the guys up front.
How would you evaluate Riley's performance tonight in his first game back?
Oh, without looking at the tape yet, I thought he was really in control. He was seeing the defense well, made some big throws, made some checks at the line of scrimmage. He made some decisions at the line of scrimmage where he had the freedom to do that. And so I thought he did. Without looking at the tape, I was proud of him. Proud of him getting back in there. Number one, you always want to make sure that you take care of the football. He thought he did a great job of that tonight. He was efficient. He made some plays with his feet too, which we all know he can do that. But I thought he did a good job getting back in there. And just like James, it's great to have number 15 back in here.
Passing a few of last season's highs in rushing and total yards, doing that so early in the season, how is that going to benefit the team going forward?
Confidence. I think just belief, mindset. I think all of our kids believe in one another, and they know that we've got some talent. And, talent can only take you so far, though, and it's about work ethic. It's about making sure that you come ready to practice, focus on getting better everything that you do. And just it was good to see our guys have that kind of success. I know they've been looking forward to this day, and I'm proud of them. The credit goes to those guys. Those guys are the ones, when I addressed them before we get on the bus this afternoon at the hotel, we're the only ones, the guys in this room are the only ones that can control the outcome of the game, and they were ready to play. They were ready to play. Yes, we have things we can clean up, but they were ready to play, and I'm proud of them.
How did you feel your first game calling play?
Mike New, obviously a very happy camper for the Ball State Cardinals. 42-6, the final score. And what were your guys' initial thoughts following tonight's game?
Well, this was a big win for Ball State. Coming out here, Schumann Stadium, opening night, putting up 42 points, and it was clean the way that they did it. So they have a lot of momentum going into next week against a top 25 program in Notre Dame.
For Ball State, this was the perfect situation. You just basically wanted this to be a dress rehearsal game, because going into Notre Dame next week, you're going to have to be throwing all your weapons at the Fighting Irish. So for Ball State, this was a perfect situation, putting up 42 points tonight. Couldn't have asked for a more efficient effort.
What do you think the biggest adjustment is for the Cardinals going into next week?
Well, I think it's going to be, based around the game plan against Notre Dame. No offense to Central Connecticut State, but the Fighting Irish are a different animal. So they'll work on executing, the best they can. I thought they did a really nice job of that tonight, but it's all surrounding the game plan. What will the Fighting Irish bring to the table, and then how do you adjust to that? That's, I think, what they'll be focusing on in practice, along with the normal things that they do to stay fresh.
I think for me, the biggest thing that Ball State has to come out and do next week is execute in the first quarter. They were a little bit sluggish. There's a few passes, especially early on, that throw that Justin Hall, that Riley Neal had. I thought that could have been just a little bit higher. But otherwise, in the second quarter, he really got going. He started getting his momentum, really found a chemistry with his receivers that he's been working on all offseason. So for Riley Neal, it's just basically getting off to a good start in the first quarter, because the Fighting Irish are going to come out, swinging with everything they have.
And so much during the pregame show, we talked about the running backs, but tonight was the Riley Neal game, and he came back out after last year being out for the last 9 games and just played phenomenally.
Yeah, he played great. You see him right here. A nice touchdown pass to Nolan Given to get the Ball State Cardinals on the board. He was firing on all cylinders, just like you said, Jarin. Really looked sharp. He played well last year, but he got injured. That was the problem. He came back this season, started off extremely well, picked up right where he left off.
And speaking of playing really well, look at this little hat trick. You see a flea flicker right there, just looking like the old days with Coach New with the Saints. You see that a lot, and now he's executing that with the Ball State offense. So offense got off to a really fast start early in the second quarter.
I really liked the creative play calling from Coach New in this offense. He had a lot of different formations going. They spread it around to almost every weapon imaginable. And Malik Dunner, he's a pretty big weapon. He got into the end zone right here. You see the turnover on this play from Jacob White. He put his helmet right on the ball forced it to come loose, and Ball State capitalizing on that opportunity. They really capitalized on almost every opportunity that they had tonight. A couple of missed chances in the red zone, but other than that, a clean game from Ball State.
Saying, going back to Malik Dunner, right here you see a big screen pass all the way down to the sideline, and Malik Dunner just showing that explosiveness like you guys talked about on your broadcast on radio tonight. You know, sometimes he gets ahead of himself a little bit too much, but tonight I thought he did a perfect job containing his legs and just utilizing his acceleration, which really helped him.
And Riley Neal, once again, I mean, you can't say enough about somebody who comes back from an injury. We saw Alex Joss tonight, too, coming back from that ACL injury. This just looked like a brand-new Ball State team all around.
It really did. And it helps when you have a guy like James Gilbert to hand the ball off to. You see the replay. Gilbert just bouncing it outside. He can do it inside the tackles. He can do it outside the tackles. With Riley Neal playing the way that he did and the backs that Ball State has, this offense could really be good throughout the course of the year. They're good right now, that's what I'll say. They could be great by the end of the year if they continue to execute like they did tonight.
That hashtag RBU is really in full swing tonight, but how about these back-to-back touchdown passes? The Johannes Tyler looking a little bit like Larry Fitzgerald on that, especially on that second touchdown, having flashbacks to the Super Bowl where he had touchdowns. So, you know, this offense just, you know, demonstrated how explosive it can be tonight, and I'm expecting to see this all throughout the season.
Yeah, Tyler, 2 touchdown catches. He's an emerging star, second-string wide receiver. Expect to see him get some more playing time over the course of the season. Now you look at the stats, just an all-around dominant performance from Ball State, and look at that mark at the bottom there. That's a record, right, Jarin? 654
total yards, the most ever in a single game for Ball State. The record before that was 618, so that 63-yard touchdown pass passed it for Ball State, and a record I'm sure Coach New will be extremely happy about. Riley Neal, 259 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Gilbert hitting that century mark with exactly 100 yards. All around, a fantastic game for Ball State.
The offense was rolling, but how about the defense, AJ? They were really sharp, too.
So the defense came out very strong in the first quarter. Obviously, the first drive is the first drive of the season, and they were a little bit sluggish. They let Central Connecticut go down the field, but after that, they really were on their P's and Q's, really just executing the plays and finding a way to disrupt that passing game that got off to such a fast start and taking away their primary weapon. Central Connecticut, Jacob Delagala.
It's a mouthful.
I know it's a
don't worry about
it. It's a total mouthful. But he was really in a slump there in the second quarter and just was not able to pick up that momentum going into the second half. And Ball State, once again, like I said, did a fantastic job disrupting him throughout the night.
Yeah, I thought they did a nice job bringing the pressure in the front seven. That was a question mark for this Ball State defense. How would the front seven respond after losing Anthony Wimbush, their main pass rusher from last season, and also some new linebackers as well? I thought Christian Albright played outstanding tonight. He ran sideline to sideline extremely effectively, and then they also got some good pass rush from Chris Crum, Fred Schroeder, Sean Hammonds, that front of the 3-4 defense that Ball State just switched to.
And you didn't even talk about Jacob White, who had a sack tonight as well, and the captain.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot to mention the middle linebacker who's a senior for this team and caused the turnover on special teams.
Yeah, he was all in tonight. Every huddle, every defensive huddle, he was there and on the sidelines as well. Jacob White is a big voice for this team, and the captain speaks very highly.
And even going back to the special teams play where he forced that fumble, so I mean Jacob White was making plays in 2 fastest of the game, which is extremely helpful, and he has to give Coach New even more confidence, especially going next week into Notre Dame.
It's a big game next week in South Bend for Ball State. We're going to head back to the press conference with Coach New.
So excited about his Johannes Tyler. You talked about his potential throughout training camp. What was it like to see him go out there and do what he did tonight?
I'm proud of him. We've seen that, the players and the coaches, we've seen that, in training camp. We saw Johannes make some splash plays early in training camp, and I'm proud that when he got out there and he got his opportunity tonight, he certainly was not big-eyed. He handled the stage quite well. His first college football game, I thought he had 2 touchdowns in his first college football games, which is a pretty good start. But humble kid though, and I know he certainly would tell you right away when you ask him, gosh, I wish I would have gotten a better release on the one fade throw that Drew made to me. Drew a pass interference, but Johannes is just scratching the surface, and he wants to be good and he wants to work at it.
Is it only a matter of time before we see him out there earlier and earlier in games and with the first string?
Oh, I think for us, we got quite a few receivers that we believe in. They all bring a little bit different skill set to the table, and so we're going to keep rotating. I mean, I don't know how many plays we ended up with tonight. It was quite a few, but we got to make sure and rotate our guys and keep them fresh. And when we want to play with tempo, you can't sub sometimes when you want to play with tempo so that the defense cannot sub. But we got to just keep working with him, keep developing, getting better every day. And we kind of have 2 or 3 different groups of guys that are going to see playing time. And sure, his playing time could increase as the season goes on, as you would expect for a young player that is doing some good things.
Without watching the tape, what areas were you most pleased with that you saw defensively tonight?
Well, I thought our defense came out and responded to the challenge. They took it personal about what happened, and they were as excited as anybody. They were, it was one of those things that you could see it day in, day out in training camp. You could see it day in, day out in spring practice, and they wanted to come out and they wanted to make a statement. I'm proud of that group of guys because, when you get some of the information floated out there that existed from a previous year, that bugs you, and rightfully so. And our guys took it personal, and they used that information to motivate them. And I was proud of the way they played. I know they wanted to shut out like we all did, but they did a lot of good things. They played every play with a good focus, and without seeing the tape yet, I was proud of them. I think overall for us as a team, the one thing I look at is we got to clean up the personal fouls. That's not who we are. We don't do that. That's not the kind of ball that we play. And so I think we had 3 personal fouls, if I'm not mistaken, and so we got to get that cleaned up. That's not what any of us are looking for, especially me.
I saw Curtis Blackwell left the game early. What happened with
He had a hamstring, and so really won't know much about that until tomorrow once we get back in the morning and see where Curtis is at. In fact, how, and what's the severity of it. So we'll find that out tomorrow morning.
Was that the only significant
Yeah.
injury?
Yep. Yeah. Everybody else.
And Curtis Blackwell, the player who we saw get injured in that first half, had ice on his left knee at the conclusion of the game. But something positive for Ball State was the offensive end, and outside of Riley Neal, it was Justin Hall. He was dynamic tonight.
Yeah, Justin Hall was really pretty good tonight. I know the stats don't show it. 5 receptions, 38 yards. He ran a great route to get open on the first drive. He just dropped the touchdown, but he's a good enough receiver where those touchdown catches will be made in the future. He's very versatile. You see him right here catching the ball in the flat. He can do it all over the place, AJ.
Say the biggest thing for me with Justin Hall is that you can get him on those bubble screens, and he just has so much acceleration that he's, you get him a little bit of daylight, and he's going to find the open hole, just like you see here on the jet sweep. That was another way they utilized him, as you see an SC top 10 hurdle right there. I would say that was even more impressive than the one he had last year. But just so many different ways that Justin Hall can be utilized, as you see here on the special teams. If they give him a perfect balance, you see right there, he finds ways to create plays. And for Coach New, that has to be so helpful, knowing that you have somebody like Justin Hall in your back pocket that you can just say, hey, we need you on a sweep. We need you, to go on a screen. We need you in the special teams. There's so many different ways you can utilize them.
A member of the All-MAC second team last year, and Justin Hall certainly has the potential to be true All-MAC first team this season, especially with the way he started tonight.
ESPN freshman All-American after last year, led freshman in receptions with 78, over 800 yards receiving. He's dynamic. I think that's the best way to describe him. We'll go ahead and take a look back at the press conference right now with Mike New.
Other than that, just normal, physical bumps and bruises from just from playing the game.
Was there any significance to letting Riley and James close out the game?
They were asking for that. And so I think they deserve that opportunity to go on the field and take a knee in victory formation. That's something you work hard for. And, I think that first group of guys, that first line, James, those guys deserve to do that.
Obviously, look ahead to Notre Dame now. When you're playing a team like that, I guess really when you're playing any team, how much does it help to kind of have these extra few days to get prepared for that in South Bend?
Always. Anytime you can get extra days, especially after you get a win, because we've kind of tweaked our day after the game schedule. Now we're going to get in early in the morning, and we're going to get it, corrected and put to bed, because we want to, as a staff, we want to get going full speed ahead on our next opponent, which is Notre Dame. Of course, tomorrow they will have not played a game yet. We'll be tuned in for that on Saturday night. But yeah, we're going to go back, and we've already looked at some film this summer from last season, and what's going to be the best plan of attack for us as a team in order to go into South Bend.
Focusing in on the further schedule with Notre Dame and IU, how are you looking to use tonight's offensive performance when combating an offense with a wider skill set?
Well, I think what tonight does for us is just prove to all of our guys that their beliefs are true, and they do believe in one another. They all believe that we've got some talented players and guys, several guys that can make some plays, and deservedly so. They deserve to have touches, and so it's a confidence thing. But our guys know that every week is a new week, and so tonight we made tonight count, but tomorrow it's over. And we got to get to work on the next opponent. We got to make sure that we get in and get our treatment, start getting our body back to where we can be 100%. And then we got to have a great week of preparation here before we get on the bus Friday to head to South Bend.
Obviously, it doesn't get much bigger than Notre Dame Stadium in college football. Just how excited are you to have this opportunity for your team to compete in an atmosphere at a venue like that?
I mean, that's a great opportunity for us. A great opportunity for us. I was a young kid growing up on the south side of Indianapolis, and I raced to the TV on Saturday because there was about 3 channels available, and I was making sure I beat my brothers and sisters to watch the Notre Dame game. And so that's going to be cool to go to South Bend. I don't know how many times I've watched Rudy, but you pay attention. That's a well-known national program, and grew up watching them as a kid. But what a great opportunity for our guys, man. What a great opportunity to go in there and to play on one of the biggest stages that exists.
Take 2 more questions.
Rudy, the perfect movie for Coach New, as we now welcome on Jacob White. We appreciate you coming on, Jacob. And first of all, just take us through a shutout going into the final 15 seconds. What does that mean to your defensive group?
Yeah, it means a lot to us. Obviously, last year didn't go the way we wanted it to. And so having the defense play the way that they did is kind of a statement for us, and gives us that confidence moving forward.
You guys changed your defensive scheme from a 4-3 to a 3-4. How do you think that adjustment went tonight?
Yeah, it went great. We ran it in spring ball, so we are used to it, and everyone knew their job and executed for the most part. I mean, with that being said, we still have a lot of improvement to do, and we have this long week going to Notre Dame, which should be the opportunity of a lifetime. That's going to be a lot of fun, and we're not gonna be scared going in, so we're looking forward to it.
Let's talk about the Irish a little bit. What are some things you guys have to do as a team to kind of get ready for them?
Yeah, I think it's just stick to what we've been doing. Just do our job, and let the cards kind of fall where they may. The only thing that we control is what we do, and that's what we're going to do this week in practice and on Saturday, September 8th.
You picked up a sack today, and you were second on the team in sacks last year. You lost Anthony Winbush, a big part of your pass rush. How did you guys work over the offseason and leading up to this game? What was your plan to replace him and replace that production on the defensive side?
Yeah, it's tough to replace Anthony Winbush. Obviously, he's a really gifted player, still with the Falcons now, and doing great things there. But we just honestly, we just trust what defense is called. And Coach Ellison preaches trust on effort and attitude, and we know that as a team we can play better as a whole unit. We know we don't rely on one player, even though he was a heck of a player, but as a team, if we all can play as a cohesive unit, and there's not a guy with like 12 sacks in a year, we spread the sacks out and be more multiple that way.
Jacob, thank you for joining us. We're going to send it back to Coach New one more time in the press room.
What was it like, for the most part, keeping your defense off the field tonight?
That's a great recipe if we can continue to do that. Keep our defense off the field so that when they are out there, they're fresh. That helps them. That helps them, not being worn down. And so that's something you always want to do, is make sure you sustain drives offensively, keep your defense off the field, and make sure that you avoid 3 and outs offensively so that they can get a chance to catch their breath, make whatever adjustments they need to make over there. So playing a complementary game is certainly something that we'd love to be able to do and want to do, but it just takes having a great week of practice every week and approaching it like, hey man, this is our one chance this week, and approach it as the biggest game on our schedule, no matter who it is.
Coach, one of the way you were...
And we're back now with running back James Gilbert. James, just first take us what it's like to be back on the field after going through injuries last season.
It's always a good feeling when you get your first hit, and then it's like a welcome back to college football type of feeling.
What are some of the things you guys have to do now to adjust going forward as a running back group?
I feel like we did a good job today. I just think we need to be more decisive on our read spots and when we run the ball. I feel like we protected well. We caught a couple balls, and it was a good day for the running game.
I know something you worked on over the offseason was catching balls out of the backfield. How would you assess your performance in that area tonight and overall?
I feel like since I've been trying to work on being a complete back, I feel like I showed that today, and I feel like this is probably my best game since I've been here so far.
What are some things you guys do next week getting prepared for Notre Dame?
We know they're a ranked team, a national ranked team, so basically just go out there, don't do nothing different, be us, and no turnover, no mental errors, and just play our game.
All right, James, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. And for Jack Kizer, I'm Jarin Matheny. That's going to wrap up the Sports Link Game Day post-game show. We'd like to thank our producer, Erinn Casey, and our technical director, Jared Frank, as well as the rest of our SL Game Day crew. Ball State victorious over Central Connecticut State by a final score of 42-6. The Cardinals will travel to South Bend next weekend to take on Notre Dame, and we'll be back 3 weeks from now at home with Game Day against Western Kentucky. This has been a presentation of Ball State Sports Link.